Hello and welcome to the TNC podcast, episode 26. My name is Sean.
I'm Perrin.
And I'm Corbin.
And we're back.
We are back.
Except for Micah.
Micah's not
here. Can't be here. He can't make it. He had to go out at the last minute, so...
As usual, whenever Micah is not here, Corbin is here instead. I don't know how it works out. I don't think Micah and Corbin have been in an episode at the same time yet, which is really fun.
I think the only time was episode 10, I think. Because I think that was the only time.
The second consecutive time I've been on with just Perrin and Sean.
Yeah. We were meant to also have Farah on, but unfortunately it didn't work out with the time zones, those pesky things.
Crazy. So. We don't even do them all at the same time. That's the weird thing. I love how time's completely made up. We just find new ways. We find new ways to make time increasingly more arbitrary. It's really funny to me.
We're actually from different universes, so that's pretty crazy. Different timelines.
Have y'all seen those time zones that are like plus 1/2? Like I think most of India is like plus like 9.5 from the US.
How does that work? Like,
I mean, you just add another half hour. It's just kind of whatever. I mean, there's I think some that are even like 45 or 15, which is even more cursed.
Which is horrible. I hate that.
But yeah.
Wow. Well, there you go. I've learned something new there.
Because hours kind of make sense, just a little bit, but like it really only makes sense if it's actual like straight lines, like longitudinally. Like north and south, just like perfect mathematical splits that actually are, based on like the rotation of the Earth and stuff. But nope, it's all completely made up. It's all completely.
It's all a lie.
It's all.
The government invented time to sell more time. They invented time to sell more clocks.
Exactly, big clock. They're in on it, man.
See, this is why we have Micah, because he stops these tangents from going off like this. Well, at least somewhat.
I do hope that there's at least like one person that's like, oh, this is a nice design or graphic design podcast, and they listen to the first episode, and it's all about
oh my god
and plots.
So speaking of which, I guess this is technically speaking a segue into the what we've been working on segment, I guess.
It's a bit of a bumpy ride into the segment, but we're here still.
Yeah. So I went to an Adobe Creative Retreat. It was a little invite-only event for like local young designers, so all like college students or grad students. I had no idea what to expect. I thought it was like a giant event for like all kinds of creatives, all kinds of ages, whatever. Nope. Literally just college students and like young designers just out of college. It was entirely focused around like giving young designers as much practical help as they could possibly get as they're preparing into the industry. I had like a couple rounds of portfolio reviews, really helpful panels on like what to expect in like job interviews or whether or not it's a good idea to be a freelancer, and if so, what are the things you need to expect. It was all like super, super cool, super helpful. It was great. I was able to plug the podcast. I was able to plug TNC at one point.
Yes! Yes!
We were passing, toward the end of the second day of the conference, we were passing the mic around and just like talking about our reflections and takeaways from the conference. And one of the guys who was helping pass the mic around, after I answered one question, and then what came back to me, he was just like, you have a good voice. You should have a podcast. And I'm like, well, actually.
The opportunity has arisen.
I do have a podcast. Technically not mine, but I'm on a podcast. Go listen to it. Go listen to the new creators on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. Hee, hint, hint, wink, wink. And then he said he would listen. So if he's...
I so hope that this is the first episode he hears where he's just us talking about lines.
This was like
and big clock.
So he probably listened to the other one first, thankfully. But
I mean, that one still also has crazy stuff we said in that, but it's not...
Shout out to Nick if you're listening. Well,
Hi,
this is the podcast. This is the kind of dumb stuff we talk about. I love more.
This is the mess we've made.
personally apologize to Nick that they had to listen to a me episode for your first one.
Man. We have fun here. This is a great podcast. We only stay on topic. Trust me. We only talk about normal things. Yeah. So yeah. Aside from the retreat, which was super cool, it was a lot of fun. I went with a bunch of my classmates, got some really cool advice, learned a lot about like how I can like cater my work more towards employers, which is really interesting. The feedback I got was mostly like, surprise, surprise, my stuff is very good. Yay. But also,
I mean, duh.
And yeah, I kind of knew that already. Not to brag, but like I knew that already. But it was more about like the way it can be presented can do a better job of like helping employers see the way I think through my designs and think about the process behind them, so they can get a better sense of how I think like a designer and my mindset, which is exactly what employers want to see for if they're going to hire me for my jobs. Because like I can make cool stuff, but like unless they're like reassured that I'm like making the best choices that I can or like thinking everything through, they're not going to be as likely to hire me, you know? So that was super, super cool. It was super helpful. I'm already trying to like put that into practice. I've got this little presentation for one of my NAFA teams that I'm kind of going hog wild on. It's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah.
I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, it's more like kind of simple in terms of the actual content of like the design content, so it's not like super detailed like I did for the full like Atlantic Division Revisited project I put on Scratch and Behance. It's not gonna be quite that detailed, but it is gonna have more like behind the scenes stuff, thought process, like what's the inspiration, like why I made the changes I made, why I chose what I did, that kind of stuff. More details like that. So yeah, I've got more stuff to talk about in terms of what I'm doing. God, I've got 4 things. Okay. Feel like I'm hugging the mic.
Brand Battle 5. Brand Battle 5. Still?
Brand Battle 5 is still kicking. We're in the finale now. We already have an entry. Shout out to Elsie for getting her entry done. I'm very excited. Waiting on the other 3 participants for the finale. It's going to be super cool. Those entries are due. I put in the date wrong. I think I typed in the project Sunday the 19th. I meant I think I meant that Friday the 19th, but now I'm changing it to Sunday the 21st.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
That feels better. I feel like Sunday deadlines make more sense in terms of having time. So it's Sunday the 21st now. Ignore what it says in the project. I'm gonna go fix that right now, actually. Also, for my school right now, we're helping with the school art and design magazine, which has been super cool. I'm making like one of the feature interviews that they're doing for like we're interviewing a lot of local artists, which is cool. I'm doing the layout. I just finished it for one of them, which has been a lot of fun. I also did like the colathon. It's sometimes called printer's note. It's kind of like just the detail of like what kind of paper and stuff you used. Nobody knows what it is. It's great. I got to do that page. I also won the contest to do the cover. So I'm doing the cover for the magazine, which has been super fun. I'm super happy with how it turned out. It's got a lot of fun little doodles on it for like the different kinds of topics we cover in the magazine. It's like I had a lot of fun with it. It's very like a little grungy, a little choppy, but it's supposed to be really like vibrant and artistic, you know, not too artsy.
It's
and
not
too
grunge as a like
not grunge
dark.
As in like
it's more
dark.
just it's
grunge
got like
as
that,
in like texture wise. I can send it in here actually.
You know like how Twitter used to have that before they rebranded to X.
Yeah.
Like before that, and they had like
not
all
like
the
that
kind of teared paper kind of like that was.
I wanted to feel like handmade, you know, like it feels like this is a bunch of like designers who are like passionate about the stuff they're making something cool. Yeah. It was a lot of fun to work on.
It's very cool so far.
Very, very happy with. Yeah, this is the completed one. I think the
look really nice.
I think the magazine goes to print tomorrow morning. and I know the two people who are like assembling it are like working nonstop, basically getting everything fixed up because there's a lot of stuff going on, so many moving parts. They're on top of it. Thankfully, they're very good at what they do. But it's a bit hectic over there. So I'm wishing them luck. The next like 12 hours or so. It's 18 hours. I'm hoping they finish it. But yeah, but that's been super fun to work on. It's a school art magazine. It's super fun. But yeah, that's been super cool to work on. Love making this stuff, getting the visions. I hated using InDesign so much. I hate InDesign, dude. It's awful.
Adobe products in general, honestly.
I know. I hate InDesign. So I do what I normally do when I have forced to use Adobe products with air quotes on forced. I gotta make sure I'm actually communicating that. You cannot see what I'm doing. This is a podcast.
Yeah, there's no video.
What I do is everything except what absolutely has to be done in InDesign, I'm doing in Affinity.
Yeah.
Everything, like, so it's basically everything on the entire, like, couple of spreads, except for the text.
Can you not use Publisher? Like a Affinity Publisher? Because I don't know if that would be doable.
I have all three done, but I don't have it learned. You know, I haven't actually used it. I really gotta use it. Yeah. So InDesign's not the worst. It's just hard to do stuff that actually feels like, you know, a normal
intuitive
software.
I think
exactly. It's very unintuitive.
Like that's to me. Like I've tried to learn Adobe products just kind of for my own like sanity, really, because like I prefer Affinity. I'm not doing it for a career. I just do it as a hobby, so I don't care about needing to know industry standard stuff. But it's still handy to know. But like I've tried using it. I hate it. I just can't.
It's just not fun.
It's so clunky.
It's because I think it's partially because all the programs are just so old that they can't. It's too late to change things. Designers already know where everything is. You can't like overhaul the UI at this point because you're just going to leave everyone who uses it left in the dust. But also part of it is definitely it's Adobe. They own the industry basically. They are the industry.
Oh yeah.
They're lazy.
They don't have to innovate.
They don't have to innovate. They don't need to care about UX because for the most part, with the exception of Affinity and Figma, there's no other options. They have to use whatever is right in front of them. But yeah,
I had to torture myself recently because I was using Premiere Rush because I wanted to quickly put an edit together of a video I made to show someone. Because I was recording my screen, but then when I was recording, it showed my personal info, so I wanted to cut that part out, and I thought I'll use Rush because it's literally called Rush. It's meant to be something you can do quickly, like make an edit, rush it out, and get a 1080p quality. No, this thing is awful. It is slow, clunky. It's not even like an old program. It's literally like a new program they made specifically for people just to kind of put stuff together, like a home video kind of suite.
Yeah.
And it's awful. And then when I exported it as 1080p, it came out like in potato quality. I'm looking at a video from it was like me at the zoo, like the first YouTube video. That's what it looked like. And it was awful. I was like, this is rubbish. And then I opened up Clipchamp, which is free from Microsoft, and I did it in 2 seconds, and it looked like fine.
Incredible.
Like, what's the point? People are paying for this.
Adobe moment, man. But
exactly.
But yeah. So that's what I've been working on.
Curse you, Adobe.
Man, I've done other stuff, but I'll let other people talk. I've already.
That's
less important, but still cool.
People like hearing your voice. It's fine.
Right.
It's fine.
If you say so.
But yeah. Anyway, what about you, Corbin? What have you been up to?
So I've been up to a lot since the last time I've been on the podcast. For any new listeners, I am mostly here because I am Perrin's brother, not because I'm a graphic designer, is what they're called. I do engineering things.
We have this guy because he's a giant dingus. This guy's funny sometimes.
Nepotism.
Once in a blue moon.
Corbin's our nepo hire.
But I do create things. I'm a creator in some sense. My things are just usually mechanical systems and some electronics thrown in. So the last time I was on the podcast, I've mentioned that there's a possibility that I would get hired for a NASA internship. Well, I did. I did get that internship.
Hey.
I spent the fall semester at NASA Goddard, and I was working on a robotics project for them. I got to like kind of design a robot from the ground up. They didn't even have like requirements put together, so I got to like make design requirements, and then create a design out of those requirements, and then go into the nitty gritty design details about like, you know, what bearings are we going to use, what screws are we going to use, putting all that together. And I left with, I left the project having made a near the complete CAD, which is computer aided design model, and they're likely going to build it soon. So that was fun. Enjoyed that.
That's very cool.
But then I, came back to school, so I've been doing school things. I made a remote controlled plane. It hasn't flown yet because the wheels didn't work, and if you want to take off from the ground, you need wheels that work.
Average Boeing experience.
Traditionally.
No, it really is.
Not with that attitude, you don't.
I don't know if the wheels have failed. You can also, like, there's enough redundancy in your wheels that you can get away with having a few not work. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
As long as
you have
who says
enough
anything
wheels.
about landing?
Yeah.
It's a plane.
Well,
it's maybe in the sky. It's not maybe on the ground.
I mean, that's kind of what my design philosophy for the wheels was. Is I slapped them on because I'm like, these aren't that important, right? And then I put the plane on the ground and it just collapsed under its own weight.
It was,
I'm
in
like,
fact, that important.
Yeah, it was. So that was fun. But the reason I made the plane is because I was interviewing with SpaceX, and I needed to create or have a presentation about like some stuff I had worked on, and I decided it would be a good idea to spend the 2 weeks to prepare, just making an entirely new thing and then presenting about that. Apparently, somehow, the gamble paid off because I did get the job. So I'm going to be working for literal SpaceX pretty soon.
Nice.
But yeah, so I'm excited about that. But anyway, that's what I've been up to. I'm now, doing school things. I'm trying to make a kinetic sculpture. Actually, never mind.
What?
Spoiler. Because this is a gift, and it's entirely possible that the recipient of the gift might listen to this podcast before I finish the thing. But anyway, making a thing.
We'll just censor it. We'll censor it.
We gotta find it.
Just we'll put a big beep, just like a whole long beep for as long as you speak about it.
Anyway, well, it is a podcast, so I can show it on the little thing. So
yeah, we just won't say. Just don't say anything about
it. This thing does this, and then
okay.
these do like this, and so it looks cool.
Yeah.
And it's a little guy.
It's a little guy.
It's a little guy.
Apologies.
It is literally just a small person.
It does stuff.
Honey, I shrunk the kids.
It's a thing, and it does stuff.
It's a thing. It does other things. But anyway, I'm trying to finish that. I'm trying to put new landing gear in the plane because I do want to see if it actually flies. But it also did its job. It got me a job, so I don't really care if it even gets airborne.
Yeah, Sean,
it is a very unusual plane. It can change the angle of its wing. So obviously most planes, they have the wings that go out on either side, kind of at right angles to the body, maybe a little bit swept. Once in a while, someone will make a plane that can change the angle of the wings. So they can make it like more or less swept, make that angle sharper, which is helpful if you are trying to make a plane that can go supersonic and also land. It is very difficult to land your airplane when you have very swept wings. Again, very important up there with the wheels.
It was, in fact, that important.
It was.
Yeah. So, at some point in the 80s, NASA looked into this concept called an oblique wing, which is when you have a straight wing, but you can change the angle of the entire wing. So the one side of the wing actually moves forwards and the other side moves backwards. So it's asymmetrical. It looks very unusual. Kind of looks like something a like kindergartner drew before they understood what airplanes were. But it's a genuinely like useful concept for a number of reasons that I will not go into. But so I made my remote control plane be able to do that. So its entire wing can just pivot around and actually kind of stick. It looks like it's kind of Supermaning with one wing tip almost at the front of the plane. So anyway, I'm having fun. That's what I've been up to.
Well, that makes mine gonna sound way more lame. I should have went first.
I was wondering if I should save that.
Man.
Just like I'll save your dignity a little
Following
bit.
up, getting a job at SpaceX and going to cool conferences and making the cover
I've
of a
worked at
school
NASA,
art
and
magazine.
then I'm also worked at SpaceX now. It's no biggie.
Normal things. Yeah.
Normal everyday things. I'm just a silly guy doing silly things. It's
every
fine.
day.
I mean, primarily the
Anyone
things I
could do
are
that.
still silly.
So anyway, what I've been working on, stuff I can actually mention, because I do a lot of things that I don't mention because I keep them a secret. I'm a very secretive person in that regard. It's my whole brand at this point. But anyway, the things I have done that I can say is, firstly, in regards to the podcast, I have restarted our music playlist. We launched it originally back when the podcast first started. It's like basically a way to curate the stuff that we talked about on the podcast as a music segment. So like I put like a couple songs of each album or artist or whatever it was that the person was talking about. But eventually it became a bit of a nightmare to keep it running because Micah was the one actually who had the ability to edit the playlist on Spotify and I didn't, and he just didn't have the time to edit it, and we all just kind of forgot about it. But then I can't remember what actually it was, but I think we just talked about it after recording the last episode.
Yeah.
We said, hey, what if we just restart this? So then we decided we've got a official TNC Spotify account now for the playlist, so anyone can edit it.
Nice.
Well, not anyone, but like people in the podcast. Not as anyone. I'm not giving out the password.
Man, I could have done something really funny.
That's why I don't trust you with it.
What I should have done.
You're too dangerous.
You know how
too much
people,
power.
You know how people make those jokey Spotify playlists where it's just like me when I'm eating pebbles in the museum gift shop, and it's just like I keep eating these colorful stones. I should stop eating stones, or something like that. Something really stupid.
Yeah,
there's
my
one
favorite one is
I put it in your server, Sean. I put in someone did that for the entire transcript of the Steam's Hams bit from The Simpsons.
Oh yes, I saw that. That was so
Corbin
good.
sent that. Corbin sent that to me.
Plagiarism. Plagiarism.
It's not plagiarism.
Plagiarism on TNC. My God.
It's only plagiarism if I pass it off as my own work. I did not make this. I did lie about where I got it, but I did not make it.
I can't believe it. Incorrect attribution.
But yeah,
I can't believe this.
I should make one of those, but it's for the entire transcript of every single TNC podcast episode.
You should start with the longest episode.
Exactly.
I think one was 2 hours long. You should start with that one.
Man.
My favorite one of those is I think I posted it on Waste Of, and it's actually my own screenshot because I found it on Spotify.
But you didn't make it.
And it's I didn't make it, but the credit is there because it shows the person's account, so I'm clear.
You're in the clear.
But anyway, it's a very simple one. It's Radiohead tries to do maths, and it's literally just 2 + 2 = 5. I might be wrong.
Incredible.
That's
pretty good.
It's a pretty good bit.
It's a pretty good bit. I'm just saying, it's a good bit.
There's so many really, really good ones.
Yeah.
Out there.
That's such a good one.
My younger sister, me and Corbin's younger sister, made a couple of these, and they're like different Greek myths, about she did one for like the myth of Prometheus, who's the guy who stole the fire from the gods, and they got chained to the rock and had his liver pecked at for all eternity. And so she made a playlist about that, and it was really good. I don't remember the exact ones.
I am so gonna take that out of context. You just tell me a guy's getting his organs pecked out. I'm just so gonna do that. I'm just gonna how I do the little headline at the end of each post and Waste Of for the episode. I'm just gonna say, hey, so by the way, really crazy. He talks about a guy's organs getting pecked out.
Hey, this is a myth that has been retold for quite literally thousands of years. I think I can get away with saying that. And you just told it
in the funniest way possible.
Man.
You just have to take this little
the best method of
make a Spotify playlist about it.
Man.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a Spotify playlist of just the transcript of that one line.
Incredible.
Is that good?
Ooh.
Oh man. Anyway, I'm gonna steer this car that's quickly veering off a cliff back back onto the cliff. Hopefully not off the cliff.
Yeah, I hope not.
But yeah. Oh, yeah. But anyway, so I was, like I say, restarted the playlist. I spent far too long going through each music segment to remember what we talked about, because the problem is I've read through some of our previous notes, and some of them are very nondescript. Let's just say. I was like. I read one of Micah's ones, and it was like, wait, what do you even mean by this? What? So I had to just I had to listen to that part of the episode just to find out what it was. And I'm like, oh, right, okay. But anyway, it's all up to date now. And once this episode comes out, I'll update the playlist again. So hopefully we'll keep it, up to date each episode. And we'll have, kind of like a nice little taster of all the stuff we talk about on the podcast. Also means if you're insecure about your music taste, be very careful. So, but yeah, a couple other things I was working on. I don't know if you guys saw this. You might have saw it, Perrin, and that's the Waste of iOS app released.
Oh, yeah,
that Oren was making.
I did hear about this.
And that means I have my first ever app icon on the iOS store because I made it.
Congratulations!
I know.
You made that.
Right?
That's crazy.
Corbin got a job at SpaceX. I've got an icon now on iOS. So
you got a little virtual square.
Yeah, NFTs.
Man.
Yeah, man, pretty cool. That is pretty cool. But yeah, so if you want to try that out, if you have iOS, you can try out the app. It's by Oren, who is a member of Waste Of. He's been on the podcast before as well. He was on one of the episodes. I think it was episode 18, if I remember correctly. And lastly, I also shared this on Waste Of as well, and that is I made some posters of my designs. First time I've ever printed something out in high quality as well, like actual decent quality on decent paper, because it was for Mother's Day. Because we had these old pictures sitting on one of the walls. And I can't remember where she got them from. I think she can't even remember. I think she got given it as a wedding gift or something. She always hated them, but they just kind of sat there for years. And it's like, I'd hate those. I want them changed. I'm like, I've got you. So I printed out. I got one of my old designs. I've got an idea. A light bulb was above my head when I came up with that one. So I got my design day and night, which is like it's two separate designs combined together to kind of make
diptych. I love diptychs.
Yeah. So separated those, made a little kind of design for those two so they could be framed. Had to measure the frames as well. That was fun. I'm very bad at maths. I'm bad at maths. I'm not very good at it. I hate it. But I did it. I printed out first time, it fit, and they're now framed and they're hanging. And she's much happier with them now, so that's great.
Very cool.
So I'm taking so many W's right now. I'm just saying.
Incredible. I really should try to get some of my stuff printed because I've got a bunch of cool stuff that I'd love to see in physical form. I mean, it is going to be super cool.
A lot of your icons will be really good blown up kind of on proper.
I want to
look really cool.
It'd be super cool to have my NAFA teams have actual physical merch because the only thing I have is a Boston Mariners shirt because Sticker Mule did that giveaway a couple of years ago.
So
the problem is it's out of date now, and that really bothers me because that's the
old one.
Yeah, that's the July 2022 version of that shirt, and not the current. What month is it? March 2024 version of the Mariners brand. So that bothers me a little bit. But yeah, it is gonna be cool, especially with the magazine cover, to have that physically. That's gonna be super cool. That's gonna be awesome. Dude.
I didn't realize how satisfying it is to actually see your stuff go from a computer to physical objects that you can actually hold. It's
this is what I've been saying for years. Become a mechanical engineer. Do it.
I've seen the light.
Corbin.
I see what he means.
Yeah. The only problem with that, Corbin, is that we have to do math, which is what we are morally opposed to. Is doing all
Not all the time. You can make some funky shapes and make tiny little yellow pieces pieces of plastic.
Corbin, you do math that I've never even heard of before. That's how advanced the
For
math
fun.
you have to do
Yeah.
is.
Bro, he's that Vsauce
100%.
video where you count past infinity.
Yes.
Nothing quite like that. But yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah, but it'd
But
be
yeah.
it'd be super cool to get more like NAFA teammates.
Mhm.
I wish I had the time to like set up an actual Redbubble and sell it because I think people would pay money for those. Definitely.
Mm. I would buy a Perrin
Hell
logo
yeah.
shirt. I would totally do that.
Thanks, Sean.
I would totally.
I
I
would-
would just wear that every time we record.
Yeah. The Strange Desire posters I made last year for
Oh, they were cool.
my classes. Those are really cool. It'd be fun to have those printed out, like have them all, like stack them all up so it's like one big poster. Get that as a physical poster. That'd be super fun. The poster I just shared a month ago, like the purple one. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Little things
I
like
would
that.
really like. I would really like to print out. You know, I don't know if you remember this design, but the Big Brother design I made like years
Oh,
ago.
yeah,
I think back
that
in
one.
2020. I'm still really proud of that. I would like to print that out as a
Yeah,
poster.
that's a cool one.
because I think it would look really good. Yeah. The only problem is the grain always seems to be an issue. I remember when I was exporting it, I had to like turn the grain up to max just so you
Yeah.
could see it. It was ridiculous.
I
but-
noticed that too.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, that would be pretty cool. But yeah, I think this is a perfect time to segue into stuff we've been seeing recently, or more so me and Perrin.
Sean, famously
As
the
we
only
discussed
one,
before.
famously the one who picks out the articles,
well,
as
Corbin
opposed
picked one of them.
to
I
me,
picked
who
one,
only
yeah.
has background knowledge, and Corbin, who has not read them yet.
We're flying by the seat of our pants. It's fine. We'll do it.
Exactly, we're doing
That's
great.
that's what we come for.
That's
Well
what
riffed. It's
that's
fine.
what design and engineering are all about: is overcoming obstacles and thinking on the fly. Am I right?
Yeah. It's like figuring out that
Yeah.
you need a landing gear for your plane.
Exactly.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure
It's
it
airborne
out.
first, but
Right.
we'll figure it out. We'll get there. Might
Yeah.
take a couple crashes, but we'll get there.
That's the thing is I'm actually really happy it never got off the ground because I was running on like 12 hours of sleep the last 3 nights combined, and also had never flown a remote control plane before.
engineering.
And so it was going to end up in
It's so
multiple
glamorous.
pieces. If it had left the ground, it was not going to come back in one piece. So,
Man,
oh well. Anyway, on
It
to
is what it is.
the news or whatever.
The news or whatever. I'm just imagining the BBC News like
Yeah.
intro song, and then just like, and then the presenter comes just like, whatever the
Yeah.
news. Here it is. I don't know.
like the transition from the weatherman back to like the news desk.
I'm back to you in the studio. News, whatever. You know.
Yeah, something
I'm
happened.
like,
I
I'm
don't
here.
know.
It's like news or something. I don't know, man.
I've
I'm
lost
just
track.
sitting here. I got asked to sit here.
One day, I would love like some set of news anchors to just be like, you know what, we're just kind of done talking about this stuff. We're just gonna come over here and hang out, have a lovely chat because we're just
Yo,
tired
guys,
of
you
keeping
should have
up
saw
with
this. Like,
stuff.
you should. You know
Because-
what? I'm just gonna talk about this crazy cat video I saw the other day.
Everyone knows that people watch the news specifically for the news anchors, like very flowery personalities, and nothing else.
Oh, definite.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Right.
It's always funny because here in the UK, all of our news channels are really dry because of like impartiality laws and stuff. I mean, that's probably a good thing because you don't want them to be like sensational, but whatever.
Exactly. Yeah,
But it's always funny. I remember there was a distinct clip, and it's the BBC. It was the intro to like one of their segments. They do like a countdown, and then it goes to the studio. And no joke, worst timing ever. The anchor was like joking with the presenter was joking with the camera folks off, camera. And she did a middle finger. And
Oh yeah, I've seen this clip.
when it transitioned, she was just giving it 2 middle fingers to the entire UK. And what was
Man.
so good is like she instantly recognized when like she went from like doing a goofy face and like 2 middle fingers to just straight faced, and then probably talked about like some like awful news that just happened, and like that was whiplash.
I really hope she didn't get fired, but also she
she
probably
didn't.
got.
She's
didn't?
still there.
Okay.
She probably
good.
got in trouble, but she's still
Oh,
there.
yeah, for sure. Man.
But anytime I see her now, I just have that clip ingrained in my memory.
Mm.
I just like whenever everyone's like, I know what you did. We all know what happened here.
The only funny person in all of like British news.
All of England in general.
Yeah. All of England, pretty much.
Man, I'm sure you as a Scotsman can probably attest to the fact that maybe a lot of viewers of that show.
I mean, you're asking me to
deserve
make fun of
two
the
middle
English.
fingers.
That's my pastime.
It's the national sport of Scotland.
That's like it's the national sport is to mock England. That's our job.
Man.
Basically, we're basically it's friendly fire, but not very friendly usually.
Man.
Except for Porkin, he's a cool Englishman.
Yeah.
He's fine.
There's some good ones.
He's good, but other than that, there is some good ones.
Has
Back to the actual news.
stamp of approval.
News or whatever, you know. So firstly, some pretty big news, and that is the TikTok ban, or the potential of a TikTok ban, as the US House has passed a bill that would force ByteDance, the owner of TikTok, to sell the company or be blocked in the entirety of the United States, which is pretty nuts. So it's happened a few times. They've attempted it in the past to do this, but it's never got anywhere. It always seems to kind of fail. But this is the first time I think it has gotten this far, in the sense that it could actually happen, and TikTok could be banned in the US. And I don't know, like, I've seen a lot. It's really weird to see the response, because I would have thought, especially America being quite I guess, the whole freedom thing, I would have thought they would be against it. But I've seen plenty of people who are just like, TikTok's cringe, I don't want it anymore.
Yeah, it's the exact intersection of people thinking TikTok is cringe and also just thinking it's evil because China owns it. Just whatever. But like, man, this is... I wouldn't complain if TikTok ceased to exist, but also this is kind of at least in my opinion, really funny. Because on one hand, yeah, it's absolutely, like, you could definitely make the argument that it is like selling your data, you know, to the Chinese government. But I do think it's really funny that it's just like, you can only have it if, instead of selling it to the Chinese government, you sell it to the American government. Make it an American, American company.
American-made spyware.
We can only have American spyware on our phones. That's the only one that's allowed. Instead of China spying on you, only the NSA can spy on you. That's our thing.
Yeah,
Man,
it's pretty funny.
That's our job.
It is. It's really funny as well, because I was reading a bit about it, and obviously, as soon as this happened, TikTok sent a notification out to a lot of their users saying, "Call your representative," to like say, "Hey, I don't like this."
Yeah,
and,
that's really smart. That's super smart on their part.
It's a really smart move. The lawyers at TikTok, they've got their heads screwed on because they know what they're doing. But what's so much funnier is when, I think it was the Congress people, when they like the representatives like actually talked about this to the news, they were saying like, "I've got these kids like crying down the phone, just like, please don't ban TikTok. It's my life." It was pretty funny, because I think this is the first time that people probably this age have like decided to call their representative. That's probably the first time I had to make a phone call. Never mind phone a representative.
Yeah.
Which was pretty funny. But it's interesting, because especially for a country like America to ban something like this is quite unprecedented. They're very much usually we won't ban anything kind of country.
Like, we don't even have
for worse.
We don't even have sites that are like objectively like full of like criminal activity or whatever banned. It's only because the government sees it as a threat because it's a Chinese-owned company. That's literally the only main reason.
Oh yeah,
it's
again,
really, it's not.
Well, I mean,
it's not about protecting user data or whatever. It's really not. It hasn't really ever been. But I still really do think it is really funny. Like, not objectively speaking, but like, objectively speaking, I think this is hilarious.
It is funny. Like, there's definitely like bad parts to this, but it's also incredibly funny to read.
Especially because there's nothing that objectionable on TikTok, like content-wise. It's just a normal app. It's just Instagram Reels again.
It's got all
addictive.
the exact same problems as every other social media.
It's
got all the problems of every other social media.
Man, if Facebook was a Chinese company, they'd be doing the same thing. It has nothing to do with TikTok as a product at all. Which is, I just think it's kind of sad on the government's part, I think. man.
Yeah, it is pretty funny though, because I remember
is.
they were talking to the CEO of like the American branch, I think, of TikTok.
Mhm.
I don't know if he doesn't own the entire company. It's just of like the American branch.
Yeah,
And I think he's from originally Singapore,
I believe it was.
but when they kept
Yeah, it was Singapore, I believe.
yeah, so they kept like the people like I don't know who it was. I think I know the politicians, but I don't know exactly what part of the government they are. I don't know. I'm not that clued in, but they were asking him continuously his nationality, even though he has already told them multiple times that he is not Chinese, he's from Singapore. But they keep trying to insinuate that he's Chinese. It's like, come on, bro, just give up on it. You just make yourself look even more goofy. It's hilarious. It's like, Granddad's woke up again. He's thinking Singaporeans are Chinese.
It feels a little bit like McCarthyism again, where it's just like they're so concerned that this guy is just like, we have to like interview him and make sure he's not a communist, you know? They have to be sure. We can't have communists owning companies.
Yeah, it is pretty.
Man.
It is pretty comical. Yeah, it's a very interesting thing. Again, this is something I wouldn't expect America to actually do, like actually properly do. Like they always say it, but they never actually have done it. But this is the closest we have gotten so far to TikTok actually being banned. And in the eventuality that it does get banned, today's sponsor is Surfshark VPN. But
man,
but yeah. That is a TikTok ban at the moment. Like I said, there's probably more to
as
it.
There's legal disclaimer. First legal disclaimer of the episode. So
we're not lawyers.
We are not actually sponsored by Surfshark VPN. For legal reasons.
I'm glad our legal
wish.
disclaimer counter has gotten an opportunity to go up.
Yeah, man. Damn.
Surfshark,
I wish they would give it. Wouldn't that be something if they gave us money so we could, peddle ads to all 14 people who listen to this podcast?
That's 14 new customers.
I know.
Come on. Think about the opportunity here, all right?
That's like how many?
Think about it.
That's probably like 2 subscriptions. I don't know what the conversion rate on those ads is.
I don't know, but like, bro, think about it. There's 14 chances to make money, man.
I'm just saying.
You never know.
You
miss all the shots you don't take, you know?
Man. But I love how every single episode we have to beg Nintendo not to sue us, and also we beg people to actually sponsor us. Give us money, please.
It'll happen eventually.
Our budget doesn't even go to anything about the podcast. It's just just goes directly.
Perrin just pockets it immediately.
I gotta pay off my student loans, dude. I need sponsor money.
Please, I'm in so much debt.
Not a single cent can go into improving this podcast.
No. What are we gonna even pay money
as
for?
It is.
Hey, we all have microphones that work well enough. We're fine.
Yeah. If we have any spare money left over, I'll buy another couch and then
and then we can sell it on eBay for like 20% of the original price, so we can.
But think about the economics there. It's like it's content, bro. It's for the content.
It's called investing in your craft.
It's called investing. Yeah, that's called being a.
It's called investment. You wouldn't understand.
This is being an entrepreneur. Man, this podcast is gonna be great for the eBay couch market.
Oh, definitely, it's gonna go up and up. I can feel the couch stocks going up right now.
But only resold couches.
Only resold.
Only resold, not new ones. No one wants a new couch.
No, it's actually just the one couch. It's
so
one couch.
Keep buying and selling it over and over again.
I do want to see.
It's about the scarcity.
I want to see 10 bots.
So Ethan sold
flip
it, right?
a couch back and forth billions.
That's what I'm
of
saying.
times.
No, is we keep buying. One person on the TNC team buys it, and then they sell it to someone else. So Ethan sells it to me, and then I sell it to you, Corbin, and then Corbin sells it to Sean. We just keep changing the price like 1 cent
we just keep selling it to all. We just keep selling it to all the listeners. So like all 14 of our listeners, we just start
and
sending
then-
it to them as well.
Every time we buy it and sell it, we keep leaving like a 5-star review about how great this couch in particular is.
And what we do is we also treat it like Chinese whispers. So we add like little messages crammed in like between
We
between
have
the
like 8,000
couches.
5-star reviews on this one really old couch, and then everyone's just like, man, what's so good about this couch? I'm gonna put so much money down to buy this thing. I really need it if everyone else wants it, right? Man, move back to the couch again. It's been almost a year.
It has been 0 days since
It
the
has
last
been
time
0 days since we.
mentioned.
It's been 0 days since the last TNC couch pyramid scheme discussion.
I was gonna say
Oh.
this isn't a pyramid scheme. It's
Not
just
even a-
not.
This is just market manipulation.
It's just
Yeah.
it's
Ugh.
it's called grind. It's called the
This is
grind.
the grind set. This is
The grind. Sigma grind set.
This is entirely unrelated, as most things are. But
legal,
there is
legal
this
disclaimer.
one book.
Oh, I was gonna give another.
There's
legal
this
disclaimer.
one. Someone wrote this book about like the genome of a fly. It ended up being, which is like fine. It's like, okay, sure, you need fly genome knowledge in case I want to make fly zombies in my spare time. I mean, that's your hobby. That's your hobby. But anyway, there's this book that existed, and there are these two bots online, and the way that they are programmed is one would look at like the cheapest option and then just be a little bit more expensive to kind of like insinuate that it's like a little bit more premium. And then the other bot did something similar. I forgot exactly what it was, but I think what it did is it looked at the like next best option and also then just like added a tiny amount of it so it can make like a tiny bit of profit. The idea being it's like neither the bot actually owned the book, but they could buy it from another seller and then flip it and then make a tiny bit of profit. Except the problem is that there is only one copy of this book and the bots are playing off of each other. And so every single day they would both raise, or one would raise the price, and then the other would raise the price, and then the other would raise the price until it cost literally, I think, on the order of $200,000 before any human stepped in and corrected this madness.
Man.
So I personally do
That's what
predict
we're gonna do
the
with this
exact
couch.
same thing with the couch. Yeah.
Man,
That is
100%.
incredible. Well, if we do this with Blimp as well? Do we
Blimp.
still have Blimp?
we still
I
have
still
Blimp.
have
doing-
Blimp. It's actually just right next to me, rear and
Oh,
go at all
Corbin
I
times.
should
keeps
get
it-
in our photo.
Corbin keeps it in
I
his
should get in our
I-
photo of it.
Yeah,
Corbin
there we
keeps it
go.
in his pocket at all times. Actually,
This is nice.
He
and
keeps it in his
pocket-sized.
pocket.
keeps it in his pocket.
Oh, that's incredible.
It's not like
Does
collapse.
it
It's not
shrink?
collapse.
It's like a
No, it doesn't.
It's like a
it doesn't shrink.
transformer.
It doesn't shrink
It
at all.
just-
He's
I
just
just
got really
fold.
big pants.
I just fold this like
You just go.
half-inch sheet of
We've worse.
plywood.
You just go like a massive pocket that like goes further down, like even the cuff. It's just like drags down.
It is.
It's just
I mean, okay, it is ever so slightly longer than one pant leg, but I can probably manage it.
man.
We'll
For
feel like
any
he's got a
any
peg leg.
podcast listeners, this is about maybe a 16-inch by a little under 3 feet, half-inch piece of plywood with a big picture of a trout that's labeled Blimp.
That's great.
And I keep it in my pockets at all times.
Apparently,
Just in case.
Yeah.
just in case.
Never
you never
know.
know.
Party trick.
Never know when you're gonna need blimp.
Yeah. Never know when I'm gonna need a Blimp.
Yep.
And then hang on me. You know, those stupid jokes.
I mean, the only way to counter a bad guy with a big trout is to carry your own big trout.
Corbin shows up with a blimp to a knife fight.
I would win.
Corbin would win because it's impervious.
You
to
never
death.
expect getting
Because it's a giant shield.
blindsided-
You can probably do a
blindsided
good
by
amount
a
of damage with it.
Never mind the Infinity Stones. He's got Blimp.
He's got blimp. Oh my
Oh,
god.
that is amazing. It's
What were we
very
ta-
nice to see Blimp make a return.
Yeah.
Um,
We gotta name this episode Couches and Blimps 2. The Reawakening or something
Oh,
stupid
yeah.
like that.
We're just hitting all the classics.
Yeah.
Couches and Blimps to Electric Boogaloo.
Exactly.
This is just the best of TNC vinyl.
Man, now that's what I call
Wait, what's
TNC.
Yes, that's what I call TNC. That is what it's being called.
Oh, me and Corbin came up with this really stupid bit that we wanted to do, where it's like, no, that's what.
Wait, you've not been doing stupid bits so far?
No.
Oh, this one's worse.
This one's stupider.
We're going dark.
Me and Corbin were just. I think Corbin was microwaving some food for lunch, and we both just like harmonized the sound, as you do in the kitchen, and I came up with the incredible idea of what if I made an entire album that's just microwave noises. It's just for 4 minutes, and you do that for like 12 songs, and at the end it's just the beeping.
Ambient music be like
It's just the beeping at the end, and we were like, man, now that's what I call microwave. And we were like brainstorming this bit for a little bit. We found out somebody already beat us to it on this really stupid bit.
No!
There's a random YouTube video that's doing the same. Now that's what I call microwave bit, and I'm so mad about it. I'm so upset. Because me and Corbin were like seriously considering this, like, what if we made this like an actual like YouTube sketch or whatever? Somebody beat us there. I'm so mad. Like on YouTube, because I googled the phrase. Now that's what I call microwave, and it popped up. And I'm not gonna say I've never been more disappointed in my life, but I was pretty close.
It's up there.
Yeah.
This reminds me of something else. It reminds me of this video I saw recently. It's this guy who recreated the entirety of Damn by Kendrick Lamar from memory at 5 a.m. And it is the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Man.
Because like he'll hum a tune, or he'll make one of the sounds, like one of the beats, and then he'll just go, or he's like rapping one of the verses, and he'll just go and then just keep going. It is so funny. I'm going to link it for later, because
I've seen videos of people doing the same thing with like movies like Shrek or whatever. Like this one guy just like doing all the impressions like in the back of his sister's car or whatever, just like reciting Shrek. Me and Corbin and the rest of our siblings can do that with Ratatouille and Monsters Inc. We can do that.
Amazing.
It's really stupid.
We're gonna have a TNC episode, all of just you two just like doing all the impressions.
It's a good
See how long
only
it
for our
takes.
Patreons.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
If for those who are not in the know, before we started recording, we're making jokes about making a Patreon,
Man.
and then just posting absolute rubbish to it, absolute goofiness.
All the really stupid pre and post recording conversations that we have, those are going up on our non-existent Patreon.
Yeah, just pretend it exists. It's like an SCP. It's an anomalous object. It just only exists in your mind.
It's a figment of your imagination. This podcast isn't even real. You're hallucinating right now. The accident was 15 years
It's
ago.
the voices in your head.
The accident was 15 years ago. You need to wake up.
Like, was it?
It wasn't your fault.
It wasn't your fault. It's okay. You can leave me behind.
You're finally awake.
Man. We were talking about TikTok, dude.
I know, we went from TikTok to that.
We're doing great.
TNC, that's what I call TNC.
Now that's what I call TNC. Incredible.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I think I should probably get us back on topic. So, moving on to our next little bit of news, and that is the US government has sued Apple over monopolistic practices because of the iPhone, specifically. I think it's the first of its kind in terms of, like, America actually cracking down on a big tech company of this scale. But to kind of just give an overview of what the complaint is, it's about how Apple prefers its own products on its own devices and makes it harder for other products to compete because obviously Apple's ones are default, so most people are going to stick with defaults. Blocking cloud streaming apps for things like video games, so obviously, again, that's stopping other competitors. So Apple Arcade, for example, is kind of the dominant streaming kind of service for gaming on the iPhone. No one else can really compete at the moment. Suppressing the quality of messaging, which is basically just, put it simply, iMessage lock-in. Mostly, this is mostly a US problem, I would say. I've not had anyone in Europe say this is a problem. Like even Europe didn't crack down on iMessage because just no one uses it here compared to America. It seems to be a very popular app in America, so that's one of the parts of the complaint. Limiting the functionality of third-party smartwatches with its iPhone, which obviously makes it harder for other smartwatches to compete, because if you own an iPhone, you're most likely to buy an Apple Watch. You're not going to buy a third-party one because it doesn't work as well. And it also means the inverse, because if you want to buy a non-Apple phone, your Apple Watch just doesn't work anymore. At least not as well.
You see, this
and lastly is...
Oh, you finished.
Sorry. And the last bit is blocking third-party developers from creating digital wallets. So basically, they're not letting other developers add their own payment apps. So at the moment, Google, for example, can't put Google Pay on the iPhone. Only Apple Pay is available. Whereas on Android, for example, if you own a Samsung device, you have Samsung. You can choose from Samsung Pay or Google Pay, for example. Sorry, you were going to say. I'm done now.
See, this is the opposite of the TikTok ban. Or this is an actual like concern about like consumers and their ability to have like the freedom to use whatever like programs or devices that they want. And this is what the was it, FCC? Yeah, FCC.
I think it's the FCC that is.
Yeah. And the FCC. That's right. Yeah, both of them.
I think also the DOJ is involved. Similar
but different. There's too many three-letter acronyms. Or
one of the acronyms is
TLAs.
Involved.
Exactly. Anyway, this is what that's for. This is actually an example of like government stepping in and being like, "Hey, these business practices are a little bit predatory, and you should stop doing that because it's bad for the consumer." It's not at all what the TikTok ban is. It's this is what it's actually for. This is like, I'm an Apple fan. I use Apple products. I'm fully hooked in the Apple ecosystem. And even I'm like, yep, this is a good idea. Apple is not being the best about this. This is not very cool. Because I get why Apple does it. Because, money. It makes the money.
Oh, yeah.
It makes sense a little bit, like business-wise, to have a very isolated ecosystem where everything is...
All the companies do it. Like, I think another thing as well to note is that every other tech company has similar practices. Like Google, obviously, when you use Google search, Google prefers its own services over every other else. And it's just as a big of a complaint because Google controls the entire search market.
Exactly.
But yet they prefer their own services. And it's actually a big complaint because in the EU, with the new DMA laws that have just came in, they've complained about Google doing that. They have to allow third-party competitors to actually compete with Google because previously they weren't able to really because Google would send you to their product first.
Exactly.
And it's similar with like other companies.
Prioritizing your own products over the competitors because, it's your ecosystem, that's perfectly fine. That's whatever. Not giving consumers the choice is where the problem is. And that's why, like, that's the whole point of this, like, lawsuit. That's actually pretty cool, pretty based. Good job, FCC.
Yeah, it's more just, again, it's kind of, the thing I find similar to TikTok ban is it's quite a shock.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't expect them to do this. They just don't, like, it's not something that the American government has really done. Really, the only countries that have really stepped in at the moment is really the EU. Has mostly been the one kind of pushing this crackdown so far. But it looks like now the US might finally rein in its own tech companies, which it should. Anyway.
It should, like, because we have way too many
like,
tech companies doing whatever the heck they want and actively screwing over their customers at every possible step.
Oh yeah.
Have you looked at the healthcare industry or the insurance industry or whatever? It's not great.
Healthcare, healthcare. What?
Yeah. So
sorry. I have the NHS over here. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't relate.
I mean,
nah.
It's not like the NHS is perfect either, but man. Anyway, but you get the idea.
I get your point. Yes.
Yeah. So
I know what you mean. Yeah.
It's
totally.
actually cool and refreshing to see the Supreme Court stepping in and being like, "Hey, this is a predatory business practice, and you got to stop it, or else we'll, sue you." Or seize your assets, or force you to sell, or whatever. That's nice. I like that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I love
It'll
regulating
be very
capitalism.
interesting to watch because it'll be interesting to see how the US government handles Apple, because of course they are very clever at trying to avoid like stuff like this, you know? Like they were very aggressive with the EU, and it was very hard for the EU to even crack down on them, and the EU has been doing it for a lot longer than the US have been. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. But it's definitely proven that it works, because recently the new laws in the EU came, which were the DMA laws, and one of the requirements for Apple was when you first set up an iPhone, it has to give you a choice screen to choose what browser to use. So you can't just have Safari just set as default originally. You have to actually actively choose Safari instead, or another browser. So it gives you the option of Google Chrome, Firefox, every other browser you can think of, basically. All the major browsers are at the startup screen. So you actually get to choose what one to use. And they already said, I think Firefox said they have 50% more downloads within a week.
Wow.
Brave browser said about 30% more downloads. I think they said 11,000 downloads in a week compared to like 7,000 normally. So it certainly works. So it'll be interesting to see if America goes in a similar path, because it might, just make the landscape a bit more even for everyone, hopefully, if it goes well. But we shall see. Who knows? Maybe we'll go really crazy. Might get sideloading on the iPhone in America. That'd be crazy.
Yeah. That'd be pretty nifty.
Yeah. Dual booting Android on your iPhone, that'd be crazy, bro.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's pretty much everything to do with the Apple lawsuit at the moment. And now we'll move on to something that Corbin is interested in.
Yay! I don't know. I use a computer. It does things. That's great.
The magical box does things.
right. The little bees in this box that do math for me. That's pretty nice. I'm a big fan of their service. I thank them every day.
Local man makes webs of personal computer.
But yeah, so this is I guess America, but it's also not even on the Earth, because about 3 years ago, it was August of 2020 or so when it launched. But America launched a rover called Perseverance to the Mars. I was gonna say the moon, but that's not correct. The Mars, that one.
The Mars.
Yeah, so it landed February 2021. It was cool. It's a masterpiece of engineering, and I will not shut up about it. But hiding underneath it, some people call it a stowaway. It was intentionally put there by engineers because it's a tiny little helicopter. It has like 4-foot carbon fiber wings, or like propellers. Like little helicopter blades. There's 2 sets. They spin in different directions, so you can just have a little tiny box underneath it. The box has little feet that stick out. It's called Ingenuity. The idea was to see if engineers could figure out how to get powered aerodynamic flight on Mars. It was just a technology demonstrator. It was designed to just see if it works. That's its entire mission. There was no scientific instruments. There was a camera, mostly for navigation purposes. But yeah, they just wanted to see if this thing it could work. Because if it could, that'd be nice. We could send basically just drones to Mars and have them fly around. It is very difficult to fly, though. The atmosphere is incredibly thin, and so it had to be very, very well optimized to see if it would work. Anyway, it was designed for 5 flights. If it could complete those 5, maybe if it completed 4 out of 5, it would be a success. Unfortunately, it did complete 5, and then it completed 5 more, and then a bunch more. In total, it flew 72 times.
Wow.
It spent over, over 2 hours in flight over the course of its lifetime. But unfortunately, on flight 72, it lost contact with the rover and crash landed and snapped one of the blades off and damaged at least one of the other blades. And so it is upright. Its final resting spot is upright, and they still were able to communicate with it in the end, get some data. But unfortunately, the Ingenuity helicopter is never going to fly again.
RIP.
If only it had a landing gear.
It did. Its landing gear worked fine. because I didn't design it.
My joke doesn't work. No.
Tragic. But anyway, I was very sad when I heard this news, but it's okay. It still more than completed its mission. Blew everyone's expectations completely out of the water. And already NASA has adjusted its plans for some future missions to include more similar helicopters. So NASA and ESA, which is the European Space Agency, they're planning a very complicated process to get Martian rocks to Earth so we can study them. The first step of that is Perseverance, the big rover. It's taking Mars rock samples, putting them in tubes, leaving the tubes places. The original plan was to send a small rover that didn't have any instruments on it. It was just designed to drive around, be as light as possible, drive around, pick up the tubes, and deliver them to a lander that carried a rocket so they could blast the samples off into orbit. But they've changed those plans, and they're now, well, one, Perseverance has worked so well and so reliably that they are actually hoping that Perseverance can do the job itself. Like pick up its own tubes and drive it to the lander on its own, which would be pretty cool. But the backup is 2 more helicopters, very similar to Ingenuity's design. And so if Perseverance isn't able to grab the tubes, or if it's too busy doing science, which is what it was primarily designed to do, they can just grab the tubes with more helicopters. But that mission that's a series of missions that's going to be flying in a long, long time. So hopefully everything continues. Yeah, so I mean, something I hope is higher on the U.S.'s priority than banning TikTok is funding NASA. Please fund NASA.
Come on,
more. I'm begging you. Yeah, so that's a little bit of space news. There's so much more space news. I can and will talk about it for any amount of time. But anyway, that was one I wanted to share. Rest in peace, Ingenuity, the best and so far only Mars helicopter, but soon will not be the only Mars helicopter due to just how successful it was.
Yeah, it always mind boggles me when like you see photos, because like in this article you've got a photo of it spotting its damaged rotor blade, and to think like that photo is not on Earth, like it's from another planet. I always find that kind of mind blowing. Got mind when I think it was Perseverance landed, it took its first photo, and that obviously became like a huge thing at the time. And it was like kind of mind blowing to think like that's not Earth or even the moon. It's like an actual different planet that like we all have heard about but have never actually got to see a real actual image of, kind of thing.
Not enough people appreciate just how insane it is that we can just like chuck things up
Send
into
something
space
like that
and like go walk around
it
up
actually
there.
lands.
Absolutely insane. It's phenomenal. There's way too many people who don't even like believe space is real. It's insane.
There's some people that think the Earth is flat, man. It's like that's sad.
No, dude, it's wild. If you ever want to like completely lose your faith in humanity just a little bit and how like dumb people are, go look in the comment section of NASA's like posts and like pictures of stuff, and they'll be like,
"Oh yeah,
this is all a cover up. Why do we trust the government?" It's unfortunate. It's kind of very sad.
Very unfortunate. I know, it is very unfortunate. It's always funny because I managed to scroll. Well, I committed sin. I saw an image of like a NASA mission or something. I can't remember exactly what it was. It was maybe a year or two ago now, and oh boy, I opened the comments. It was on Twitter. Bad decision, worst mistake of my life. As soon as I did it, I realized I messed up. But yeah, it was just the dumbest of the dumb. That's the easiest way I can describe it. It was pain to watch. I feel like I lost like brain cells reading some of those comments. Actually insane. But yeah, rest in peace, Ingenuity. I think we should move on to the music segment.
Yeah,
I love that. In theory, we have a main topic that's supposed to go after the news, but we are currently on an hour and 10 minutes of recording, and we've just now got through the news. Brilliant performance by all parties. This is what peak performance looks like.
What we did is we front loaded all the tangents early, so now we're just kind of breezing through the actual news. The last like couple.
I know.
Couple little segments. We're cruising. This is a normal
We're cruising
podcast.
now.
So, I mean,
Totally.
it's been some time since I've been on the podcast at the same
That is
time
true.
as Micah. And while I'm sure he's great as a podcast host, the benefit of it being me and Perrin and Sean is
Man,
Sean
do
is
we get so
outnumbered
much
2-1. Sean's outnumbered 2-1 and is powerless to resist.
I am outnumbered here, man.
The sheer
I've not got the
buffoonery
experience.
Surrounding
I've
him
not got
on
the
all
experience
sides.
for this.
No,
I'm not even gonna lie. Like when Micah just has this way of being able to like easily keep everyone in line to an extent. Like he can he keeps the car on the roads. Like he doesn't let it veer off too much. Like we're not going into oncoming traffic too much, you know. But when it's me, I'm just like it's too much. It's like you two are just going. You're going off, off the cliff.
Me and Perrin each have one hand on the wheel and are violently turning it.
all three of us are crouched into the front seat at once.
I imagine it's like one of those little Tykes cars, like orange and yellow.
Yeah.
But there's three of us crammed in there, and me and Perrin are delighting on just how sideways we can get the vehicle.
Yeah.
Those little tuk-tuks. It's like all of us are just crammed into that little tuk-tuk.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm in the center here trying to keep it, and you two are just going like...
Each of us get control over one wheel. There is 3 wheels and 3 passengers.
We have...
One has the accelerator, one has the brakes, and one has the wheel.
Man.
Sean, have you ever seen a truck tuck?
I have not seen a truck.
It is what I call it's a tuk truck. It's like the size of, it looks like a tuk, but you just scale it up a little bit, and it has the back end of a truck, or like a little dump truck. The bed doesn't tilt, but it's like a pretty heavy duty pickup truck kind of thing. Very delightful. I've only seen a few, and it made my day every time.
That's fair enough. We're getting off tangents again. No. Yeah, I think we could talk a bit about space. I think we can do a bit of space if you want.
Let's go.
You've got time.
Just this once, just since it's you, I'll let you talk a bit about space. There you go.
Nice.
Right.
I did have another piece of sad news, but I'll skip that because there's a mission that I liked a lot that was canceled in development. And that's the thing that riled me up enough that I contacted my senators. I don't care about TikTok, but like, you cancel the OSAM 1 mission, I'm gonna throw hands.
I can just imagine you go up to like the Capitol building and you say, "I'm gonna throw hands if you don't restart this mission right now."
But they waited until I was not living next to DC to cancel that mission, which also I was
that interesting timing. They were watching.
Probably. But the sad thing was like I at my NASA internship had people in desks next to me working on this mission, and it got canceled. So like I've seen CAD for it. I've seen like flight hardware for it. I've met a lot of people who are very passionate about working on this mission, and it's just canceled like that. So that's unfortunate. Anyway. But cooler news is there was the most successful Starship test to date. I probably mention this every other time, but seemingly every time I am on a podcast, there's a Starship launch. So Starship is SpaceX's really big rocket. It is the most powerful rocket ever built, nearly by a factor of 2. It's pretty ridiculous. They've now flown it a 3rd time, and it basically worked, except for the parts that didn't, but that's okay. A lot of people see an explosion and they're like, oh, something must have gone wrong. And I'm like, okay, sure, technically something did go wrong. But like in aerospace engineering, if your explosion happens at the end of a test, it is a incredible success. The rocket got all the way... I just flung a thing across the room. I'm gesturing wildly with my hands.
He's actually flailing around right now. You can't see it, but he's actually just like he's like one of those, outside
The
car
wacky
dealerships.
Arm flailing, tune man.
Yeah.
You're lucky I'm not constantly spinning. If I didn't have a headphone cable on me right now, I'd be spinning around my spinning chair. But anyway, so it completely survived ascent. The first stage worked brilliantly. All 33 engines, not one of them failed. And then it separated into bits like rockets do intentionally. And the second stage went on to complete its burn. It was a little bit short of orbital, but that was intentional because they wanted it to splash down in the ocean before it made a full revolution around the Earth, the very round Earth.
It's very round. Impressively so.
It's
like
so
worked.
round, bro. It is so round.
So I don't know if I can...
Can I interject with a stupid joke that Sean isn't
run.
going to get?
No, go for it, my dude.
Earth-
I'm
We've already said so many stupid things. We cannot.
This isn't even
might
that
as well
funny.
lower it anymore.
This is just a Corbin joke that only Corbin
we're
will get.
hyping this up so much, and it's going to be
this is not even that
exceedingly
funny.
disappointing.
This is going to be very disappointing.
I'm prepared. Hit me with it. I'm ready to hit me. Feel.
You know what? I'm going to hype it up more and
The
more
Earth.
and more just to ruin the moment.
Man.
It is going to be the funniest thing you've ever heard.
Stop it!
And Taryn is a comedic genius and does not miss comedically.
It's like
So yeah,
Mike
what were you
Tolbert.
going to say?
The Earth is like
this
Mike
is gonna be
Tolbert.
amazing. Oh my god.
Yeah,
Not quite
I was
like
so
that. Sorry?
excited.
Corbin, you know
Go
the
for
bit, the perfectly spherical Mike Tolbert. He's like the Earth.
Yes, the perfectly
Except the Earth isn't even perfectly
that's-
spherical.
You're so right.
Mike Tolbert is more spherical than the Earth. Shout out to
I am so
former.
thoroughly disappointed.
Shout out to former San Diego Chargers fullback Mike Tolbert, also Panthers fullback. That's a bit that he probably will never
Excellent.
hear, but I appreciate him and how spherical he is. It's great.
If he's listening, that would be incredible.
That'd be so cool,
Also,
dude.
hello, and we all want your autograph. Anyway,
Yeah.
so I put in the
I don't know
little-
who he is, but I'll take the
little-
autograph anyway. I can sell it on eBay. I'll start selling. I'll start doing the like inflation thing we're doing with the couches. I'll just start selling it to like all three of you, and we'll just keep selling it around and around.
So, joke aside, back to space.
Man.
Because I can keep us on brand if it's or on track if it's something I'm interested in.
So like, no, you won't interrupt me.
So I put in the chat this picture of the vehicle re-entering. So it's designed to survive re-entry, which is not a thing that most second stages of rockets do. And by most, I mean literally every single second stage of a rocket, with the exceptions of the Space Shuttle and the Buran, burn up in the atmosphere when they're done. But Starship has a bunch of heat tiles and some very interesting aerodynamic control surfaces, so it can survive re-entry. It can hit the atmosphere going at about 17,000 miles an hour, which, if I remember correctly, is around Mach 34, so 34 times the speed of sound. Just a obscenely fast speed for anything that isn't space travel. But anyway, you get plasma. When you hit the air so hard, it literally doesn't get out of the way in time. It just squishes. And when it squishes, it gets incredibly hot. And when it gets incredibly hot, electrons are violently ripped off of the molecules in the air, and the entire thing glows.
Yay.
And they got live video footage of the plasma building up, which has never been done for anything ever.
Wow.
Because... those electrons, as they get violently ripped out, this is going to be science. Cry about it.
Nerd
out. So when those electrons get ripped off of those molecules very violently by the heat, or by slamming into Starship, it blocks radio transmission. And so if you're trying to get communication, if Starship is high in the atmosphere and you're trying to communicate down, there's a bunch of plasma in the way, and you just can't communicate. And so every re-entry vehicle always has what's called a communications blackout, where they can't communicate until they're punched through the plasma. But Starship is so beefy that it creates a wake behind it. It's just so large that it just pushes everything out of the way, and it can communicate with Starlink satellites, which are above it. So it can just send radio messages out of the gaping hole it's punching in the atmosphere to talk to other satellites to then send that back down to Earth around the plasma. And so they got actual video footage of the plasma building up on the vehicle, which absolutely blew my mind. Now, granted, in that picture I sent, it looks like things are going well. Things did not go well for very long. That picture shows it belly side down, which is how it's supposed to be. but the entire time the Starship was in orbit, it was tumbling.
Oh,
Which is a minor issue. They couldn't get it pointed in any particular direction. And it's really bad to be tumbling when you're re-entering, because now you're going to have this incredibly hot plasma touching things it's not supposed to be touching. Like the very meltable, I can pronounce things. It would just completely melt the metal of the Starship and disintegrate. So ultimately that's what happened. It did disintegrate. Only partially through re-entry, but still an incredible success. And they now have real world data of how the heat tiles react to that environment. So hopefully that'll be very valuable and lead to an actual landing. Anyway, that's more space news, I suppose.
Woo. That was space news. And that was space news. Woo! Now that was generally quite interesting. Like I say, I heard about the launch and everything, but I didn't know that much about it. So very interesting. I think we can now move on to the music segment. I think I'll begin with Perrin.
Let's me.
Start with you.
All right. So it's been such a good year for my really weird music taste, dude. It's been great. I'm vibing right now. So, couple weeks ago, almost exactly 2 weeks ago, Bleachers released their newest album, self-titled. It's called Bleachers. It's pretty good. I like it a lot. Bleachers is a wacky artist because none of his albums really sound the same. It's very fun. It's very like, you know how in the 80s, when it comes to 80s music, there's like the heavy synth pop 80s, and then there's the more like reserved, sadder, more stripped down 80s music, kind of, just a little bit. It's more of the stripped down kind of stuff. It's very like Bruce Springsteen inspired. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, it's a really good album. I enjoyed it a lot. Solid, at least a 7.5 out of 10. I might listen to it again and give it a better score, but I did really enjoy it. Also, new Hosier EP just came out a couple of days ago. I'm sure Micah is very excited to talk about that.
If Micah was on this podcast right now, he would not be shutting up about it. The whole podcast would have been about that EP.
Specifically because of that, I'm not going to talk too much about it, just so Micah can have that later next month, I suppose. But it was really good. I really enjoyed it. More Hosier stuff. We know what to expect from him for the most part, but it was really good.
Yeah.
What else? New Porter Robinson album is on the way. Very excited about it.
It was very good.
Very excited.
It was very good to
the new single, the first single, Cheerleader, looked like a lot. It was really, really fun. I really like it. It's I've been listening to it very nonstop, but it's a lot of fun.
It's wildly different too. Like it kind of
It's kind of like
it's so different to Nurture.
Exactly. It's like still like his style from an instrumental perspective, but the vibes are really like almost pop punky. Almost, it's a lot of fun. It's super fun. It's really cool.
It does it well as well.
Exactly. It's like good pop punk, you know. And it's a really, a really like cute, sweet song about like his fans and like how wild they can be sometimes, and how they're kind of really crazy. But at the end of the day, he like wouldn't be there without them. Which is really cool. It's really wholesome. It's classic Porter Robinson. It makes me very happy.
And the music video too is crazy.
It's wild.
it's wild. It's so good, but it's wild.
Yeah. So yeah, very excited for the new album. Really excited for new singles, hopefully coming out soon. Super hyped for the album when it comes out. And then also, new 21 Pilots album is coming out, which we've touched on a little bit. Last time we talked about it, the first single had not yet come out yet. Overcompensate is incredible. First single off of the album.
It is.
It's so good, dude. It's really, really good.
The intro is what good. Sold me.
Corbin, I'm guessing you still haven't listened to it. I've been trying to convince Corbin to listen to it. Corbin hasn't even listened to Trench yet, and I keep trying to get him to listen to Trench.
Bro!
I am...
You gotta,
dude. It's
so good.
Not heeding Perrin's advice.
Hey, the only time I've ever
listen to Trench.
Hey, the only time I've ever been wrong when it comes to recommending you albums, it was Magdalena Bay, and it was just you liked it, but it wasn't quite your vibe. That was That was
and there's one or two other ones.
No, there weren't.
But okay.
What were they, Corbin? If you're so smart.
I forgot what it was called.
Oh no, brotherly fight coming. They're gonna be
If
throwing
you're
hands.
so smart, goofball. Ugh, man.
Name every
Anyway.
song ever written. You like music?
Name every. You like music? Name every song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Perrin.
Yeah.
No, but Overcompensate is
but yeah.
actually incredible. I remember I was really nervous when it was released because I'm like after Scale and Icy, I'm just like I don't know what to expect.
Exactly.
I'm hoping it's like
Yeah.
so I'm just like praying like
Yes.
please be good. And then when that intro hits, like when the drums kick in and that like first
It's so
segment,
good.
I'm like
When
we're
it-
back.
when
We are
it's-
so back.
When it slows down and changes tempo, it's so good, dude. It's
Oh,
such
the
a good,
switch up.
It's such
it
a
is-
good.
it
It's
blows-
such a good single, dude. I'm so excited for the rest of this album.
It
The next
so
single
it blows out like the entirety of Scale and Icy
out of the water,
out of the
absolutely
water.
so good. The next single, which is called Next Semester, is gonna come out next week. There's a lot of next in that last sentence.
A
but
lot of
I'm
next, yeah.
Yes, I'm very excited for that. I'm super hyped to see how the rest of the album
And
Shape-
the new
shapes
album,
out.
Clancy.
that comes out in May. So
Yeah,
a lot of stuff to be excited for. The last calendar year, dude,
definitely.
has been so good. The only thing that can make this year better so far, for my stupid music taste, is another Magdalena Bay album. And we're not, timing wise, would not be out of the
Maybe.
question. Would not be out of the question.
Two other ones for me would be a new Tame Impala record.
Yes.
It's almost 5 years now since the Slow Rush. Next
Yes.
year. Next year will be 5 years since the Slow Rush. And then probably, for me, Radiohead, because
Yes.
I've not had a Radiohead record since 2016, which
Yeah,
is
it's
almost
been a while.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
So, but so yeah.
But yeah, it's
yeah,
been
it's
a
a
very,
stacked year
very
so
fun,
far.
fun year for my very weird music taste. It's been great. So yeah.
But yeah.
What about you, Dingus?
What about you?
Oh,
I was
yeah.
going to say Corbin, but Perrin beat me to it, so yeah.
I forgot what it was called. This album.
Corbin
that I
is
really
very
like.
prepared for this.
Um,
This
podcast.
album I love.
I'm
it's
so
the-
prepared. I've done years of research preparing for this point. I mean, hey, that Starship thing was off the top of the head.
That was good. I'll give you that. It's just
Um,
like whenever it's anything not space related or engineering,
No.
it's like that it goes over your. It's just
I have the engineering part of my memory and then the not engineering part of my memory, and one of them is just a shredder. The other one's an actual place to keep things safe. Anyway, so because I have a brand to uphold, this is the album I want to talk about is Astronomy Volume 1 by Sleeping at Last. So Sleeping at Last, very good artist, writes a lot of kind of like I want to say like soft, like not overtly loud. A lot of it's orchestral or just kind of ambient. This album is probably one of his more ambient ones. It's a collection of singles that he writes about space things, and so of course I like it. So
he always gets the
like
space
things-
related.
Right. So like some are like astronomy related things like meteor showers or like blood moons or lunar eclipses. But he also has a few about space missions. So he has one about Opportunity, one about Kepler, one about Spitzer, one about the picture of the black hole we took a while ago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just like a lot of really cool things. Very ambient, very relaxing. Big fan of the album. 10 out of 10.
Mhm.
One thing he has not released a song about yet is Ingenuity, and I'm very sad about that. I want to hear an Ingenuity song.
Have some patience. Have some faith. I'm sure he will.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, he's released a number of other space songs since Astronomy Volume 1, which came out in 2020, apparently. And so there likely will be other volumes of the Astronomy Project, including recently, or not that recently, he released one about James Webb, the James Webb Space Telescope, which is ridiculously huge and completely invaluable scientifically. Just a masterpiece of engineering and gonna do some very good science. Has already done incredible science. Anyway, very good song about that one as well. So highly recommend Sleeping at Lasts is I don't know his work about space and also his work about other things.
Mhm. Can
Very
confirm.
nice. Very nice.
Very good.
Cool. Very nice. And I've chosen, I believe you've listened to this already, Perrin, and that is Scrapyard by
Yes.
Quadeca. I believe we have spoken about Quadeca in the past, or I did specifically, because at the time you hadn't heard the record, but I spoke
Yes.
about his previous record, which was very good. But he's released a new mixtape. Though I would argue it's just more of an album at this point.
It's
so
basically
well
just
sequenced,
an
I argue
album.
It's an album. Yeah. So essentially it's, well, by the name, it's scraps from the previous record. Though you wouldn't actually think it was because, I mean, it's so well put together, the whole record. Essentially what it is, it's... I don't know how else to really describe it. It's a hard thing to describe, I would argue. But, like, it's like a mix of hip-hop, but then they don't just kind of stay as hip-hop tracks. They kind of turn into these really big, ethereal, dreamy... I would say a little bit experimental as well.
Definitely.
Tracks. Also, they're just really catchy as well. Like, I've got Easier playing in my head all the time. It's such a good track. But, yeah. Like I say, I actually re-listened to it today as well, and it's just such a banger of a record.
It's such a really good album. I'm not a hip-hop guy in general. I don't really especially care for the genre. I get it's super important. It's just not really my vibe. You know? I love this album. This album is phenomenal. It's so well produced. Yeah. It's so well put together.
The production is like...
It's absolutely stellar. I really enjoyed it from like beginning to end, top to bottom. It was a whole lot of fun.
Yeah.
I really wanna, man, it's hard to like. I gotta listen to it again because if I'm being honest,
I was to name tracks I think are the best, I would say Dust Cutter, a la carte, You Don't Know Me Like That, Easier. Texas Blue.
Yeah, I really like Texas Blue. Texas Blue is probably my favorite off the album.
Texas Blue is great.
Which maybe because it's kind of the most straightforward, like written, like more typical alt song compared to it's a bit less hip hoppy. But I do just really like it. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, it's so as a headphone listen as well. It is like insane. It's just so well put together as a record. Its production is insane. Like I said, to think Quadeca before this, like he only recently started doing this kind of sound. Like he only recently got this good. It kind of came out of nowhere, and yet it's like absolutely insane. It's great stuff. But yeah, that is my choice for the music segment.
Really good.
But yeah. What a journey we have been on, can I just say?
Truly an episode of all time.
Yeah, I mean, our last two episodes have been fairly conservative in terms of length. We've been about an hour each. We have now went on to about an hour and a half already.
We've been easing our way back into typical podcast shenanigans, but now we've...
Oh, yeah. We are back
dove
now.
right into the deep end, this one. This is what, man,
oh, yeah.
This is what happens when Michael leaves for one episode.
This is basically what happens when Mike is not here. This is just absolute brain rot. That's what happens. And then some space stuff crammed in to keep like the brain cells engaged.
Exactly.
That's basically what it
This
is.
is probably, technically speaking, our most educational episode so far, probably.
It has been very educational.
So welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's been a pretty crazy episode. We've rehashed stuff, but we've also created some new memes, some new
Boy
jokes
howdy,
as well.
have we been silly with this one.
Oh, we've been silly, goofy, and just everything. Every word to describe silly, we have been this episode. But
I wouldn't have it
great.
Any other way. We had Blimp again. We had the freaking couch jokes again. We had at least 2 legal disclaimers.
Yeah.
Man.
Made fun of Apple as well a couple times.
Yeah, made fun of Adobe. Made fun of British people. We're doing great. That's what this podcast is all about.
We mentioned Scotland as well. So got the Scotland reference in. That's at one point as well. So we've covered a lot of ground.
We have, man.
Yeah, we begged for sponsorships. We did a lot.
Very productive episode. We hit all the stops.
This felt this felt very cinematic for some reason. It felt very cinematic. It's like we've been on this journey. We started off, average people just,
Man,
cruising along.
I gotta
went on this really bumpy ride.
I gotta
tangents
pull an H-bomber guy and make like a 3-hour long video essay about why this podcast episode in particular follows the hero's journey.
You have to make it longer than the podcast episode itself.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It has to at least be like 2 times the length of the original podcast
could it even be considered a video essay if it's not twice as long as the original content it's discussing?
Yeah. It has to be. It has to be extremely lengthy. It has to be so long that like it could be the length of like 2 feature films. At least. If it's not, then it's not a video essay at this point. Come on now.
Get real.
Get video essayed. But yeah,
great episode. Well done, guys. Good form, everybody.
This is like the after game analysis.
We're gonna go do the film breakdown. Our moms are here with the apple, like the gushers and orange slices. We're ready.
Yeah, my mom's here to come pick me up, so I'm gonna go, guys. But I think I can start wrapping this episode up if that's even possible. So you can find us at bio.link/TNC. You can find me at seanjw.com. You can find Perrin at your website link? Is it still that super long one that I can't remember?
It's still Perrin-designs.myportfolio.com. And yes, they're still making fun of me for it. And no, I'm not salty about it at all. Well, at least I have a website. This goofball doesn't have a website.
I have a website too.
Oh, I don't.
No, talk to Corbin. Corbin's got a website.
Right. So I don't want to be found. I've been successfully hiding from Perrin for the last 4 years. So I will not be giving any.
That's why he went to India.
Man,
he didn't go to India for any other reason.
The government's
to get away
killing
from
him.
Perrin.
Right.
Yeah. Man.
But yeah.
Man, he only shared a room with me for 15 years.
That's 15 years too much, yeah.
Yeah.
Man. Amazing.
It's great, man.
Thank you very much.
Nothing's better than having a brother, am I right?
I keep trying to stop the episode, but at this point, you just keep trying to keep it going. You keep putting your foot on the gas at this point.
So thanks for watching, listening, everyone.
Remember to like and subscribe.
Remember to like and subscribe, and please call your representatives and tell them to fund NASA more.
And remember to subscribe to our non-existent Patreon for only like $4 a month. We'll give you nothing.
I was gonna say our YouTube, but we do have a YouTube.
In exchange,
we do have a YouTube.
We do have a YouTube. Check out all our YouTube and all.
Follow the way stuff. Follow the way stuff. I make funny memes there. I think they're funny. I think they're funny, so they are funny.
We have at least 2 people that think they're funny, and both of them are podcast hosts. So we're not biased.
What do you think of the waste of TNC account, Corbin?
Oh, I haven't been on Waste of since I posted.
Can't believe this guy
left.
Why do we even have you on the podcast? You'll talk about our Waste of.
I know. Come on, that's the only reason I keep doing the podcast is just for validation about what I do on the Waste of account.
So true.
So true. Alright, I'm going to now attempt to end the episode. So, thank you for listening. My name is Sean.
I'm Perrin.
I'm Corbin.
And we shall see you in the next episode.
Farewell.